So I've seen that a lot as well online, like people getting upset or beating themselves up because they didn't get to write their goals before the year started. That means nothing. As long as you kind of get it done. I've heard some people say, January 8th is the start of their new year, whatever it looks like. But as long as you get it done, that's important. For us, we've been doing this, I think you said, since 2018, where we usually go to a restaurant and have a conversation about our goals. We'll go into detail more about that. But this year, we decided to do something different, and we decided to go sit down in a co-working space. So not as, I guess, fun, if you will, as a restaurant, because we maybe go to a steakhouse or something, and we have like computers, iPads, everything on the table while we're eating. But we switched it up this year.
But the challenge with doing that when you go to a restaurant is that you got distractions. So you got the waitress or you got the waiter, you got the management team asking if you guys are good. And if you're there 2-3 hours,
just people walking around,
and people walking around and music. So I specifically wanted to be more intentional about this year versus doing the whole restaurant thing, because it's great, like you get a date night in, but then also you should be able to split those date nights up in regards to what the date night's for. And that goal setting date night thing was just not, especially last year. I was like, we was there for 2-3 hours and it's fun.
So you like this better?
I like this a lot better. So going forward, we're probably we sat in a co-working space for about 4 hours.
Yep.
And one of the things as we go into this episode, I don't want you guys to think about, you guys are in the new year. We're in the new year right now. And you're thinking about the New Year's resolution. I don't think we should be thinking about the New Year's resolution. I think we need to be thinking about the New Year's goals. I think that's more important than having a resolution.
It's funny you say that, because I was driving today, listening to the radio, and they mentioned, what are you guys' New Year's resolutions? And I kept saying, I was like, do I have a New Year's resolution? Is goals considered to be a resolution? Or I don't think I've had a resolution in a long time. But yeah, I had that conversation with myself in the car of like, wait, I don't got one.
This is one of the posts that I actually posted in 2019. It said, Happy New Year, family. I realized I used the word resolution. In reality, should have been goals. Become detailed in what you want to accomplish, and you should have some pretty lofty goals. And what are some goals you want to accomplish? So in 2019, or in 2024, let's change resolutions to goals. Write down your goals today, read your goals daily, action your goals monthly, and take a gauge of your goals quarterly instead of doing resolutions, people. So
what is a resolution?
That's the goals.
I wonder what's the difference. But so the first thing we definitely want to say is changing your environment. We don't suggest you doing it on your couch, at home, because once again, more distractions. Before we had Alani, the distraction was the dog. And we're like, let's get out the house and do something different. But just to change in the environment helps us to focus and really hone in on what we want to do and what we want to get accomplished in that time. And I think the importance of it this time, where we had the 4 hours, Anthony could have went probably 7. And I'm like, no way. We're going to have to cap it at this 4. We're going to have to make sure we get things done within this time frame, because you don't want to just get too tired as well. At that point, you're not even in it anymore. So changing your environment is really, really important. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, one thing I would change about it is that if we were going to do it longer, probably having more preparation in regards to like food, snacks, ordering. Like that would be one of the things I would do in 2024. If we're going to extend this for a full day, having breaks, having sessions, doing it away from home, maybe on the beach somewhere, and you just go to the beach, you clear your mind for a little bit, and you come back and you get back to work.
Or a staycation or something,
Or a staycation, yeah.
When we were done, I was starving.
Yeah, because you're sitting, you locked yourself in a room for 4 or 5 hours. It was kind of ready to go at that point. So that's something I would definitely change, is having more intentions around the structure of the day versus the structure of the meeting itself.
Which brings us to our next point of having structure of the meeting. So we have, I don't know if you guys ever heard of OneNote, but we all have notes on our phone where you can jot down notes. We always kind of have a running list of notes before the meeting so that you're not going in like, what do we want to talk about? You've heard questions, you've heard things that you want to address or kind of think about again, but if you're not keeping track of it, you're not going to remember in that moment. So we make sure we come to that meeting with some type of notes of, how would you rate this year? Just an example, just some things that we want to make sure that we touch on that may be a priority for us currently, so on and so forth. So coming with notes to the meetings, I think, is crucial, because if not, you're just wasting time trying to figure out everything.
Yeah, that's like showing up to a meeting at work without an agenda.
Yeah, essentially.
You spend the first half of the day trying to make the agenda for the meeting versus having the agenda ready to go before you start. And like, it was literally a running list for the year, but I think for that last week, it was just like, okay, like what are some of the topics that we need to discuss at the top of the year so that we can make the changes at the top of the year. So, and it was just literally just straps on in OneNote. You could use Asana, you could use Trello, you could use
your notes on your phone.
Notes on your phone. And if you literally go to your notes on your phone, just start writing.
I always got a list going. But
so having that just having that pre-planned agenda, loose agenda before you get to the meeting.
And as you were listening to different podcasts, a lot of people was putting out their podcasts of questions they were asking themselves, like, oh, this may be good to ask ourselves. Maybe this is something we've never considered before. But yeah, so changing the environment, having an agenda. This is before you even start. You need to have these things in place when it comes to yearly planning. I don't know maybe if you're new here, but we've always spoken about during the time we were paying off debt, we did monthly meetings. That was something that was a big thing for us. We had fell off from that, got back on the wagon this year, not as strong as we could have, but we're planning to do that again. But I think the monthly meetings also help you when you're getting to the yearly meeting, because it can be a lot, right? Because some of you are probably like 4 hours is all you needed for the year. But if you're meeting 12 times in a year or more, that helps the meeting move along as well. So I want to touch on that. But
what? Just that part?
Yeah, the monthly meetings as well. That helps us. That can be helpful.
Yeah, and those monthly meetings could even turn into quarterly catch-up. So if you're meeting with someone every single month, and then you have like a quarterly, all right, let's wrap up that last quarter to see what we did. And then also that allows you to do and say, all right, what is it going to look like over the next quarter? Is this something we really want to do?
It said once a quarter. Then it said once a month. Then it went back to 2 a year. And I still haven't done. I'm like,
and we was like, let's just remove this goal and you'll do it whenever you'll do it whenever you're ready. So it's okay when you're going through those monthly, instead of you waiting to the next year and you say, oh, I didn't read a single book. If you go through that first quarter, you know damn well you didn't pick up a book the whole quarter. It might be time to remove it or making a more intentional way to get it done. So that was one of those things we said, you know what, we're just going to remove it. It doesn't make sense to have this on there. If it's something that you want to accomplish, you'll pick it up and make sure it gets done.
Yeah. And so with any of our meetings, once we get started, it's a reflection of the previous year before we even talk about the next year. So for 2024, we sit down, we're talking about 2023. We're going over everything that we should have done quarterly or maybe monthly to see what we accomplished, what we didn't. Is this stuff we want to carry on to the next year, what that looks like? But I think it's really important because so many things were like, oh, didn't even remember that that happened this year, because a year is a long, long time, right? A lot can happen.